Welcome, everybody, to College Planning 101. My name is Dale Price. I'm the founder and owner of Access College America. We're a five-star college planning agency with a STEM specialty. A majority of the families that work with us are applying to some of the more selective majors, such as business, engineering, computer science. They're looking at pre-med, pre-professional programs, but we work with scholars of all interests, especially those that just have no clue what they want to study. But we are very, very glad to have you here for this presentation in which we will go over timelines, strategies, picking a major. We'll talk about testing, we'll talk about the essays. We'll try to get as much done as we possibly can in about 45 minutes to an hour or so. But I am actually co-presenting with two awesome ninjas. First, and I will let them introduce themselves, but I'll let Ann Cinelli, or Melissa, you popped on first. I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then Ann, and then if you can, try to tell one, I'm putting you on the spot here, one fun fact about yourself, or something, or a cool hobby that you like to participate in.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Wood, associate here with Access College America, and I love helping students who really have no idea what they want to do, what they want to study, getting off the ground running, and so that's my passion, is being able to help those students find their passion and what they want to study, especially in college, finding the right college fit for them. And then, let's work through the process together. I guess a fun fact about me is that I love to play golf. Um, every weekend, I'm a weekend warrior out there with my husband. We get out and we play with a bunch of couples here in the area, and that's just my release, right? And my fun thing that we get out and do together, and just enjoy being outdoors. Love my sports and my sports teams. So just love all kinds of sporting activities. And
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. I am Ann Cinelli. I'm a college consultant with Access College America. I am a school counselor of 11 years now, I believe. Been in Texas for 7 years. Before that, I was a school counselor in Massachusetts, and I'm originally from New York, and I'm a very proud New Yorker. I really love this process. I love helping students get out there and explore colleges, explore careers, kind of finding that perfect match. Right now, I love my seniors are texting me, sending me an email, and they're like, Miss Ann, like, I got in, this is the school. And they show me the little mailer that came, and it's so exciting, and it's so bucket filling. And I just love that. A fun thing, other than, me being a New Yorker, and I'm very a proud Yankees fan and a very sad Giants fan, is I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I embarrass myself every Saturday coaching her soccer team, and that is kind of a fun fact, but also just something that I'm really passionate and involved in.
Awesome. I love it. And for a treat today, we really are glad to have you. Like I said, we'll be covering the status of admissions, how to get started. I already see a question coming through, but we do have questions also that were emailed in to us. Before we dive in, just want to go over some tips and what are general trends. What's happening in the world of college admissions? The more popular colleges are only becoming more selective. We were talking about this just before we went live. What in the world is going on? And I think that there's this perfect storm that's really brewing out there in the public. Folks are starting to panic. Oh my gosh, look at who didn't get into this university, or look at the acceptance rate for this college. And so it's not that you have more students applying to colleges, more students are applying to more colleges, is what I mean. And the more applications that a university receives, the lower the acceptance rates. And so we're not seeing this national trend happening at the less selective colleges. They're actually not seeing their application totals go up. We're seeing more students applying to the more selective colleges, and that's really hurting everybody. And why are more students applying to more colleges than ever before? Well, there's a few reasons why. A lot of universities, after during the pandemic, a lot of universities actually lowered the bar to apply, meaning that they went test optional. Now, a lot of colleges were very reluctant to do this, and I think a lot of colleges are test biased, especially the ones that kind of were strong armed to go test optional. They still want those test scores. And if you're a STEM applicant, you better believe a solid test score is going to help you. But students are actually thinking that they've got a good chance at getting into some of the more selective colleges with just straight A's, and that's not necessarily the case. Another important distinction is that you have students from some of the exact same high schools applying to the exact same colleges. So when you look at popular high schools like Grand Oaks or Westlake or LASA, just to name a few schools that we work with a lot, you know, they're all applying to the same schools: UT, A&M, Georgia Tech, Arkansas, ASU, School of Mines. I mean, these are just some of the more popular schools here. And so these universities are receiving the same applications from these schools, and they're really able to skim from the top. Everyone looks the same. And I think another reason why colleges and universities are becoming so much more hyper selective is they're putting a lot of pressure or a lot more emphasis on the essays. And there many of them are tracking demonstrating interest. So when you look at creating this college list, our best piece of advice is to really have a balanced college list, a core list of schools that you're really thrilled about, a list of safety schools, schools that you know you're going to be getting admitted into. And guess what? You need to be excited about those schools too. Nobody should just add a backup school for default that they're reluctant to go to. Only apply to colleges that you sincerely will consider attending. Target schools that you've got like a 50-50 shot. And then also, there's reach schools. There's a fourth tier called extreme reach universities. These are among the most selective colleges in America. And I say, if the budget supports that university, go for it. Dream big. Lakshmi, you're asking a lot of awesome questions, and looks like Lakshmi has a aspiring engineer, computer science, possibly student, or someone going into data science, which I just spoke with a family and they are interested. Claire, I know that you're on. That's awesome. Is also interested in data science. But Melissa, I'm going to kick this question over to you because Lakshmi is asking, how do we even decide on colleges? How do we know what school is going to be the right fit for us? That's the entirety of the presentation, but it's a good question. Do you want to go ahead and open up that can of worms?
Sure. So really, you want to start with researching the school. So like Dale said, finding those schools that you are excited about. Regardless if it's a reach, a target, even a safety school, these are schools that you really intend, based on your acceptance and admission, that you would really consider and attend regardless, right? Making sure that we do those college visits. To be honest, that's how you're going to get a good feel for the campus, a good feel for the campus culture, the good vibe that they have. Is this the right fit for me? So I'm really interviewing that campus, if you will. I'm looking at the professors, I'm looking at the programs, I'm looking at the general culture of the school, right? And mom and dad, this is a great opportunity for you to check out the campus as well. Is this a place that I would like to send my son or daughter to for the next 4 years? Am I going to be comfortable sending them there? And so as far as, making that balanced list, we're also going to be talking about financial fit too, right? out of state tuition versus in state tuition? Are there schools that are also part of the a reciprocity, right? For Texas residents, a lot of students tend to apply to that University of Arkansas because of that out of state, in state tuition piece as well. So that's my 2 cents on that, of definitely making sure that I'm excited about the colleges that I'm investigating and doing my research for, and also making sure that they have the major that I want to study, and making sure that that's the right fit for me.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about majors. I love these questions about majors. They're so exciting. Financial fit is something, and I know there's a lot of parents on this webinar, and so I like to make sure that we touch on financial fit. Parents, those are the questions that when you go on a college visit that you should be asking. I know FAFSA this year is a little bit delayed. Our hope is that it will be out by the end of December. I did see a couple colleges saying December 31st, and they're hoping that this year their deadline will be March 3rd to get that into the colleges. FAFSA is used by public schools, majority of public schools. There's another financial aid document called the CSS profile. Both of them are looking at a family's finances and deciding how much money they think that a family can afford to spend to send their student to school. And so then that information goes to the college, and then the college, after accepting a student, decides, how much money are we going to provide in grants, scholarships, loans, things like that. And so that's kind of what breaks down that college cost. I'm really excited to talk to some of my seniors and their families about this coming up in the next, couple of months, but it's definitely an important part of this process.
Definitely. Thanks. And I think that's the most important thing, is starting with a budget in mind. Where can we really afford to shop if you're looking at those out-of-state schools, and then casting a wide net, like Melissa said. There's a lot of colleges and universities out there, and you won't really get a good idea of the vibe unless you go and actually spend time on a university campus. One of the first things you want to do is think about, what are you going to study, especially if you're considering some of the more selective colleges and universities. A lot of the advice that we're going to be giving you is going to be targeted towards those schools that have a holistic review. UT, if you're not auto-admit, Texas A&M. So a lot of these big state flagships like Chapel Hill, or even the UCs, University of California schools, have holistic reviews. You need to understand, the first decision you need to make is, what is the major that I'm applying to? And then understand that your application for that major actually started day one of your freshman year of high school. Let me repeat. Your college admissions application is a 4-year campaign. Everything you do will be fair game in the high stakes world of college admissions, starting from your freshman year. The types of classes you're taking, the clubs, the organization, your grades, your class rank, how you spend your summers, all of this will be part of your story once the university receives that. And so many of you will be signing up or declaring a STEM major, whether it's computer science or engineering or business. And you want to make sure that you're able to back up with evidence your sincere intellectual curiosities. The next thing you need to realize when you are starting prep for college, the most important part of your entire application is going to be your transcripts. They're going to tell a story. What did you have access to at your high school, and how did you rise to the occasion? How did you take advantage of the resources that were afforded to you at your high school? And how are you taking classes that are in line with the major that you're also interested in applying to. And right now, with all of our scholars, we're having these conversations because when they do return to school in January, it's going to be time for them to submit their choice sheets, and they're going to want to have conversations with their counselors about those classes. But we're getting some more good questions in, and this one I'm going to kick over to Melissa. Melissa, this came through a parent, I'm assuming. And this is about Texas A&M, and you actually just gave a really, or wrote a really good blog on the differences between UT and A&M, but that's not what this question is pointed to. But here's the question. If admitted to A&M, but not the school that they wanted, what is the likelihood of transferring after 1 year into a specific school, such as the business school? What are the odds that they'll be able to get into the business school if that's not where they're starting?
So thanks, Dale, for the question. Love this one because now we're specifically talking about the May School of Business and how you are actually applying to Texas A&M University. You're then selecting business as your major area of study. Now, what the May School is also going to do, they're going to go through a holistic review process specifically for the business school. Okay, so you apply to Texas A&M, you put down business, general business as your first choice major, and then you go through the admissions process through the Office of Admissions for Texas A&M, get admitted, and then now the May School is going to do a holistic review on your application. This comes back to which courses have you taken in high school. So making sure that you're taking advantage of those business courses that are offered at your school, getting involved in both in school and out of school experiential learning. So joining those clubs or organizations, taking the leap and finding an internship or an externship with your school, right? All of these facets are going to be a key components to that holistic review process for the May School of Business, specifically for Texas A&M. Now, with that holistic review, you'll also want to make sure that we're, again, taking advantage of those courses. And like Dale said, it goes back to day one of your freshman year. Have you taken the advanced courses to make your transcript a little stronger? Right? Have we taken advantage of the business courses? Are we a member of DECA or of FBLA? Have we experienced any of those organizations, right? Each piece that you can speak to, that you can write to, then is only going to make your application specifically for May School Business and Texas A&M University stand out that much more, okay? So as far as that goes, yes, you do have that opportunity. You get into Texas A&M. If you're in that general business program, then you're going to be specifically applying to the individual major, right? We're not just in the May School of Business, but now are we applying for that accounting program? Are we applying for the marketing, international business? So getting into May School is going to be key. And then you're going to be specifying which specific field, individual field that you're highly interested in and pursuing for the next few years while at A&M.
Awesome. Well, gig 'em. That's a really good question because Mays is a school that's pretty common on our list, and it's one of the impacted colleges at Texas A&M. And A&M has rolling admissions, and so timing that application is going to be key. But Melissa actually has an entire webinar on this very topic. I'm going to do a quick screen share here. She could go on and on about Texas A&M. This is our website. If you click on free events up here in the top right corner, we actually have a lot of really great webinars that are coming up. One is on STEM strategies, and then we've got UT, and then look right here, applying to A&M Sunday, January the 7th. So in which we're doing a full presentation on this very topic. So definitely take a look at our free events page and dive into a lot of the free programming because lots of cool stuff happening. But moving back to the academic planning and your transcripts really telling a story, so important that you do take advantage of that and that, hey, you remember the staples. Many of you are starting to think about your classes next year and what are the classes that you need to take. Core classes, it's always for the win. All 4 high school years: English, math, science, social studies, and a foreign language, folks. Foreign language is very, very, very important. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking, well, wait a minute. I only need 2 years of a foreign language to graduate. Recommended is 3 years. So I'm kind of going above and beyond by having 3 years of a foreign language, right? Yes and no. It depends on what university you're applying to. If it's a non-selective school that tends to have open enrollment and a very high, generous acceptance rate, then 3 years you are going above and beyond. But if you're looking at some of the super selectives, the Ivy League institutions, 3 years is not going to impress them. So it's about demonstrating proficiency in that foreign language. So we could go on and on about academic planning and advising and the sequencing of your classes. But for those of you that are applying to engineer, anything within the School of Engineering, getting to the most advanced level of physics is going to be very important. Your math class will also be important, which may mean that you've got to get to pre-cal as a sophomore or as a junior to get to that AP Calculus AB or BC, or if your high school's even offering multivariable calculus, you're going to have to play around with the sequencing of this math course so that you can make sure that you graduate your senior year getting to the most advanced math and science classes out there. So it is important, freshmen, that you really map out an academic game plan so that you get the sequencing of your classes right, so that you can finish your high school career taking the classes you need to be advanced. Business students, if your high school offers micro and macro econ, a full year of econ, if your school can get you slated for that, then that's also a very good look, which may mean taking government over the summer, macro in the fall, micro in the spring, if there's enough interest in that class to fit. So definitely academic planning is important. Something also very important is activity building. And we'll talk a little bit about this. And this is so important. And Paul, I saw your question about majors. And, I think that is such an important question because a lot of people just have no clue what they want to study in or what they want to major in. Actually, this is a good time um, for Melissa, maybe you to talk a little bit. I promise, Anne, I'm giving you activity building next. But Melissa, how do you advise someone that has no clue what they want to study? Like they want to go to UT or A&M. Can you talk a little bit about career exploration? And then Anne, if you could jump in and talk about activity building, what does that look like when we're talking about majors and things of that nature?
So I like to use a couple of online resources with my full-time students. If you are a school that uses Naviance or even Schoology as one of those online tools for your college and career planning at your high school, there are career interest inventories that are also included as part of those online platforms. There are also some free resources that are available as well. If you just want to kind of find out, like let's take an interest inventory initially to see where we are. What courses do we enjoy right now in high school? What are we strong in? What would we like to kind of explore? Look at what courses are offered at our high school campus that we could take and explore those electives, right? You might find that you're passionate about a marketing or even forensic science, and taking those classes, taking those initial computer science courses at your high school just to see. Is that something that I could truly see myself doing? My biggest key and takeaway on that is go ahead and do those online interest inventories. That way you have a better idea as far as what you could go into. You may find a little diamond in the rough that you had no idea about, a career option that is out there. And then one that's also going to like hit the ground running here in the next few years. And then that's going to be a great way, a great transition into what your new major is going to be. I just love that whole career piece, that career exploration piece. Let's talk it through. Let's find out what we do enjoy, both in school and maybe out of school, right? Maybe we're big into gaming and we want to take those gaming classes or understand those computing classes, right? And or those programming classes. And so finding that true passion, if video gaming is your thing, let's figure out how we can make that into a career option. But definitely doing some of those online interest inventories is my first piece of advice.
I love that. I meet with kiddos all the time and they want to be a doctor, and we talk, okay, so there's blood involved and, conversing with patients and things like that. And then they do an internship at a hospital or something and they're like, no, 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 no. And it's always very, very eye-opening to them. The amazing things that the high schools have to offer for classes really is just fantastic. There is ways to explore different interests from 9th grade all the way through 12th grade, and keeping that rigorous core curriculum, like Dale said, just to know, okay, what do I like? What am I really interested in? What am I really passionate about? It sounds like kind of from our poll, people are pretty split, right? 50-50 with starting their research, and then some that just have not started. And that is totally okay. I know a lot of people are, current juniors, current sophomores even. And so that is a really great place to be, kind of in that unsure water. I know high schools are really gearing up for course planning and things like that. So this is a really great time to be engaged in talking with us and learning about different parts of the process. I did see a question following up about A&M that I wanted to touch on real fast, because I don't want to think that I didn't read that. Business school transferring majors, say you go in as a data science major and then you're like, I would like to go into Maze business. What does that look like? Transferring a major at a competitive school, especially into a competitive major, is extremely rare. It is extremely rare, mainly because the students that do get into those majors are more likely to stay in them and do well. So it is the case that spots do open up. I would never say an absolute. It is just very, very rare that those things do happen, and sometimes students will say, hey, I'm really interested in engineering. I'm a little bit interested in business. What's something I might want to do? Hey, how about you check out like supply chain or logistics, or maybe they're interested in finance. Well, how about we check out statistics? Because those are little satellite majors of those programs where you could still have that same career at the end, but maybe the admissions to that major might not be as competitive. But there's a huge asterisk on that, because if the school is competitive, every major is competitive. I know Dale and I started talking in the beginning about activity building, and I really wanted to make sure that I touched on kind of what are some of the things that your student could be doing right now. If you live in Austin, the City of Austin internship is going to be alive and well in January. And that is just a fantastic opportunity for students to get out there and explore different career fields, and intern at some really amazing places around the city. They're also just kind of around here. I'm up in the DFW area, and there are hospitals and, elderly care facilities and different places that are really saying, hey, we would love to have a volunteer. And so if you're interested in pre-med, that is really a great place to go. If you're interested in software, computer science, I saw that on the info sheet, start thinking about creating an app, learning some coding languages. There are a lot of free online classes that you can take as a high schooler to learn different coding languages and build a lot of those skills. Creating a virtual chat bot, or maybe finding an organization that doesn't have that great of a website and really helping them to kind of build that, and seeing, what you can do with your creative skills. If you're interested in business, DECA in high schools is a great thing to get involved in. DECA is a competition-based organization where students write projects and then present them at different levels all across the state of Texas. But you could also, launch a fundraising campaign, join your local chamber of commerce, do, some things with the Lions Club or the Elks Club in your area that are kind of business agencies. Definitely chambers of commerce are the bigger ones. You can also volunteer with your mayor's office, with your city council. Those are great places to kind of get involved in. And like I kind of started off saying, high schools have a lot of great options and a lot of great things to kind of get your feet wet. And so that is kind of what I love doing is let's see what our high school has to offer, start there, and then build up into these amazing experiences outside of school. Dale, what other amazing programs did I forget?
No, you're right. And I think that I'm so glad Ann brought this up, because you really want to take advantage of what's being provided to you within your high school. But kind of going back to what Melissa was saying, it really starts with you and how are you able to demonstrate your intellectual curiosity in this intended field of study. So, for example, I know that some of you are interested in getting into computer science. Well, there's 4 or 5 different areas of computer science. You can go into AI, you can go into cyber security, you can go into firmware, you can go into software, So what area of computer science do you want to go into? Because you're going to need to read completely like an AI engineer or someone doing software engineering versus going into data science or business, which is going to read completely differently. These are completely different areas of study. So really getting validation and confidence about the field that you're interested in. Now, a lot of different majors out there can still lead you to your end result of being a doctor. Paul was put in a great question. Well, what are some areas or what are some majors that maybe we haven't thought about? And let's just say again, if you have dreams of being a physician, well, you don't have to study biology or biochemistry. Anne was just talking about this now. You can study public health, or maybe you want to look at kinesiology or psychology or stats. You don't have to study something inside that College of Natural Sciences. And when we think about activity building and you want to be a physician, well, physicians are leaders in the community. Every high school has StuCo, student council. Are you participating in student council? How can you really demonstrate your positive impact within your circle of peers? What better way of doing that than participating in student council or doing bedside visitations at the local VA and playing bingo with the veterans? We're a big fan of free stuff, and you don't have to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars to create compelling arguments that you're sincere when you are declaring business as a major. You can take advantage of so many resources that are literally right there in your backyard, which is something that we really are big believers in. Now, I've got another poll that I have launched, and this is, what do you need help with the most? And many of you guys are saying creating that balanced college list. So when we talk about creating that balanced college list, you need to, again, start by touring colleges and universities and understanding, well, what are the stats to get into this university or this college? And I always like to demonstrate the stats. I like to take you straight to the university itself. I'm not going to call on Anne to do this. I'll do it, even though she's got a Purdue jacket on. But one thing that I like to do is look up the common data set at any college or any university. You can type in the name of a university and then type in common data set after that. And universities will often release to the public who's getting into their university and why through oftentimes a 35 to 40 page PDF. Now, don't go reading all 35 to 40 pages. Oh my goodness, you guys. But the page that you do want to look at for the stats, here's who's getting in and why from Purdue, is Section C. Section C of any common data set will give you the applicant totals. How many men applied? How many women applied? Who was admitted? Who was enrolled? That sort of thing. Even right down to, wait list. Every year in the spring, a lot of the times folks will call and they'll say, hey, my kid was waitlisted. What are the odds of getting off that wait list? Well, you can go to section C2 of the common data set and see who's getting off of wait list if that university is being transparent. But what I like to look at is section C7 of any common data set, section C7 for a common data set, and this is the basis for selection. And we can see here, what is it that Purdue really does, what do they really value? And we know the rigor is going to be important, your GPA, your test scores, they want those test scores, your essays, all of which are going to be important. But something that you guys may not know is level of applicants' interests. Folks, for those of you that don't know what this means, this is going to be considered. This is code word for demonstrating interest. And what I mean by that is when you apply to Purdue, if you want to be a boiler, you need to show them some love, which means Purdue has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars on software tracking systems to monitor your level of engagement. And when you apply to Purdue, they're going to look back at all the touch points you've had with them. Have you toured the university? Do you know your admissions officer? And if you want to find your admissions officer, you can simply do a search for that person online. You can look up, type in, and this works the same for most other universities. Type up the name of the university and then type up admissions officer after it. And you'll find that a lot of colleges and universities, they have territories or regions in which they'll read from. And if you're here in Austin and you're here in Austin, well, Brenda is going to read every single application from this region. And guess what? You can even meet with her online by scheduling a meet and greet with her. And so this is going back to demonstrating interest. It's really important that if a university is monitoring that you are taking advantage of tours, that you're contacting your admissions officer for who has your territory, and you're showing them some love. Now, testing is important. And if you are trying to figure out what is a competitive test score for a university, the common data set, section C9, if you look at the 75th percentile range, this is across the board. What is considered competitive? So for Purdue, we would see a 1450 or a 34 ACT. Keep in mind that does represent competitive scores for even the non-impacted majors. So psychology may be one of those. But, if you're applying to, certainly anything inside the School of Engineering or computer science, I would argue you actually probably want to go north of these numbers right here. I know many of you are applying to UT, so I'll tell you now, 1480 or again, 34 plus for competitive scores. Now, this is not going to get you in, by the way. This is just saying these are competitive. When you're applying to universities and colleges, especially if it's test optional, you definitely want to be within the 50 percentile range. Purdue does a really good job of being transparent about that. But, class rank is king here. And they're going to admit an overwhelming 54% of those students applying to Purdue will be from inside the top 10% of their high school class. So you better believe that they do want folks that are considered inside the top 10%. Now you know, based off of your stats, if you are objectively, if this school is considered a safety, target, or a reach. Are you considered in the top 10%? Do you have a 1450? Are you demonstrating interest with that university? Well, if the answer is yes, yes, and yes, this school actually may be considered a target or may be considered a target school for you based off the major you're applying to. You definitely want to meet with your admissions officer and tell us what do you think about that?
Well, so Michelle just asked a really great question that kind of jumps right into what you were talking about. Should they reach out to the admissions counselor before being admitted, just to build that relationship? The answer is 100% yes. And then the last part of it was, is that annoying? And I love that, because those interactions I have seen be somewhat cringeworthy when a student is doing it just because they want to demonstrate that interest, right? Kind of, I love meeting with kiddos and saying, okay, we're going to hash out what are your 7 questions that you want to ask this person, right? Because typically in that conversation, you're going to organically answer, 3 to 4 of them. So if you have an additional 3 to 4 questions that you kind of have to say, okay, these are the things I want to know about. Great things to ask are, tell me your favorite part about the school. What is one of your favorite things that's not academic? Tell me about what the dorms are like. There are a lot of colleges that have really interesting living and learning communities. Rice is one of my favorite ones with their kind of Harry Potter themed housing that they do as part of their school. But not every school is like that. So asking, what is residence life like? What are weekends like at a school? Is this a school where people go home on the weekends, or are people on campus kind of hanging out? What are internships? What are the offers for freshmen to do an internship? Colleges like Northeastern up in Boston have fantastic co-op opportunities. A co-op is where a student takes a semester off and gets a job. And Northeastern requires that in order for students to graduate from their school, and they help students obtain those co-ops. So those are really interesting parts about a school that you can ask from building that relationship with that admissions counselor. And I think you should do that kind of before you apply. Really, for my juniors and my sophomores, I think that's where you're asking these questions now before you go and spend all that money and fly up to West Lafayette, Indiana. I'm a little bit biased. Before you spend all that money to go visit that school, ask those questions, find out if those things are the right fit for you. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, so to that point of, before you do buy that plane ticket and go on that visit, there are a couple of things that you could do locally, right? And so here, I'm going to share my screen here with you guys. And right here, share this. You can actually go in and schedule a visit. So here you'll see this visitors, and this one is specifically for A&M. You'll be able to register for a tour. If you're not able to book that plane ticket and go in person, doing that virtual tour is also going to be beneficial to you. Be able to go in, check campus out, see what they do have and what you're really wanting to look for, right? When you are booking a tour, you'll also want to book that in-person visit. And again, this goes back to that demonstrating interest, getting in touch with your admissions counselor, making sure you do those check-ins. They're huge. So, and this you'll find on any of our, even for ET Austin, you'll find here, they also have their visits. So they have their apply and all of this up here, but then you can go to the families and visitors link specifically for UT Austin and be able to go in and do a campus visit and schedule your tour. Okay, so these are going to be key components to making sure that you get on that campus and make sure that you're meeting with that admissions officer here. And so just as a just as a little tidbit, making sure that we do get those and take care of getting on that campus, meeting with that admissions advisor, because those key pieces, right? That FaceTime, that responding to emails, following them on social media, those little things, they're part of the checkbox process, if you will. And so that's the part of that demonstrating interest. Are you responding to emails? Are you again following, reposting their tweets, right? Are we also following them on the other social media platforms? But really the big thing is getting on the campus and making sure that we are meeting with our admissions officer, whether it's at the university or at our high school campus. It's going to be a big piece of the application process.
Awesome, great. Hey, and guess what, folks? On our website, we've got a free download. You can download our free college visit guide and use this. Use this to help you get started on how to do a college visit, because pretty soon universities all start to look the same. And the research that you're wanting to collect, you can actually use that for the essays. Hey, we've got another poll that we have launched. And this poll is, what do you need the most help with? And so I feel like we just did that one. So actually, yeah, so have you started researching colleges and universities? And the question that just came through about housing, we did have a question that come through. If admitted to your safety school, but you don't know about your goal school until February, should you pay the deposit at that safety school just to reserve a dorm? You've heard housing is very competitive and you want to wait. You don't want to get stuck with a bad dorm choice. Well, first of all, you should only deposit on a college or a university that you're sincerely intentional about applying or attending. But some universities, you can actually apply for the dorm without committing to the university, just to secure your seat in line. The University of Texas, you'll want to apply for housing with your application for admissions. It is a non-refundable application fee, and so you will apply for housing with your application for admissions. And then if admitted into the University of Texas, then you're already in queue. You've got your spot reserved to select the dorm you want. A&M works a little differently. When you're admitted into Texas A&M, you want to submit your application for housing within 30 days, only after you've been accepted into Texas A&M. But neither of these are binding you to the institution. So those are the application processes for the housing there. But you want to check with the institutions that you're vetting out. This is a good question to do whenever you are looking and touring at these schools. Essays, this is up. All right, so there's actually 4 different types of essays, guys, that you'll have for your applications. The first one is what everybody freaks out over. It's the main essay. Every single university is going to see this piece of work. It's 650 words of prime time real estate. I say 650 words because many of you will be submitting your application using the common application, and just over 900 colleges and universities will accept this application. So the main essay, it is the missing link in your college admissions application. It is intended to humanize you to that officer. It is providing content and material about you that your reader, the viewer, cannot find anywhere else. So the purpose is not to reiterate why you want to go into this major, or to provide known materials such as highlighting awards, accolades, or accomplishments. You can take a very ordinary story and make it sound extraordinary. That main essay, our juniors, we start preparing them for possible topics and themes in March. It actually is the hardest part of the entire application experience. So March of the junior year is when we start introducing what is this thing that we need to open up and how do we take our time to work on that. The second piece of writing you're going to have is just as important as the main essay, because 100% of the colleges you're applying to, if you're using the common application, is going to see this also. It's your common application activity list. Now, this is a very important component of your application. It doesn't get as much press as the main essay, but as I said, everybody's going to read it. That activity list is where you'll provide up to 10 things you did in high school. But the way that you rank and order and write your descriptions are important. You do not have to list your activities in chronological order. We actually have an objective way of writing out those descriptions and listing them. You want to think about your heavy hitting items, listing it first. Which items have the biggest reach? Which items made the biggest impact? Where are you demonstrating leadership? Which of these items are related to the major you're applying to? So on our website, you can actually download our common application activity list guide, and we'll actually show you how to rank and order the activities that you are going to list. Right here is that common application activity list guide, and I believe page 17 is where we will actually show you. Is it 17? It is right here, page 15. How to rank your top 10 activities based off of signing a point system next to those. Every single university will read this, and this is a very important piece of your application. The third piece of your writing is going to be the short answer questions, and these are university specific. Only the universities will read these, and they tend to be around 150 and 250 words each. Your approach is unique, though. It's based off of research. So, as Melissa and Ann were just talking, when you're going on college visits, collect content that you can reference for your short answer questions. You're going to make that process a lot easier. And the fourth and final piece of writing is really only for the University of Texas, and it's optional. It's the expanded resume. And this is really a catalog of everything you've done in high school, starting with day one of your freshman year. Traditionally, it can be anywhere from 3 to 5 pages, but you can have a really great expanded resume at only 2 pages if you have a lot of depth of that. So the essay prep is important because it is the hardest part of the application process. Our pro tip, write this down, parents, is to layer your application. And what I mean by that is you want to layer your writing. So you want to think about the person reading your application. It's probably somebody in their 20 somethings or 30 somethings, and they're reading between 30, 40, 50 plus applications in a day. Make sure every time they turn the page and read something, they're getting new content about you. So think about all the cool things that you've done in your high school career and be strategic with placing that across the different prompts and writing opportunities. What most high school students do is they think of 1 or 2 cool things they did in high school and they drill it into every part of their application. And the problem with that is your audience is going to get bored. They'll see the same themes popping up in your activity list, letters of recommendation, main essay, and they'll move on. You want to make sure that you're layering new insight and dimensions about you, and you're backing up with evidence you're fit for the major you're applying to. So map out and be strategic with that theme. Last poll I have launched, and we may have been one of the very first college planning groups that you have actually been able to watch. And if you're interested in learning more about being on our winning team, you can actually schedule a discovery call online. If you go to the Contact Us button up here, then you can scroll down and you can schedule a 30-minute discovery call with me, and then we'll go over our pricing and our packages. Definitely check out our services page as well and get an update on how all of those work. I do want to make sure that I do ask or answer some more of the questions, but real brief, real fast, our timeline. We start essay prep in March. You need for the junior year, You need a slow and go process. It is hard to do this writing as a senior in high school. So, March, April, May, June, July, you're prepping on all of that really great writing. If you play your cards right, by July the 1st, you can have your main essay done, your activity list done, your expanded resume done. You can go ahead and do the profile for your common application and have your self reported academic records, your SAR account. All of that can be done by July the 1st as a rising senior. Now, the month of July is when a lot of universities will confirm their prompts for the short answer questions. So get everything done and out of the way so you can focus on the prompts for your SAQs. In the month of July, your applications are going to go live on August the 1st. Believe it or not, you're almost done by then. The month of August, you're really just adding the finishing touches to your main essay, your activity list, writing any responses to any short answer questions that you were not able to predict. And you can have your application submitted by September the 1st, going into your senior year. That's first place for the colleges that have what's called rolling admissions. Many universities like A&M, Clemson, just to name a few, will read applications as they come in and start assigning seats. ASU is another school. University of Pittsburgh is one of my favorites. UCF is another one. And so you want to make sure if you're applying to competitive impacted majors that you can really bend the odds of your favor by being among the first to submit that application. So definitely taking advantage of that. Hey, don't forget, you can also follow us on social media. Add us on Facebook. We do scholarship spotlights. Add us on LinkedIn. Go add us on Instagram or even YouTube too. Lots of resources we've actually added onto our YouTube channel. And we do have the poll that is still launched. So make sure that you are answering that question. Are you interested in scheduling your discovery call with us? And then Barbie, who's our enrollment manager, will reach out to you and schedule that. Any final words, and or Melissa, like you knew that I was going to have you pop back on, didn't you?
I just knew it. No, this has been so fun. I love the College Planning 101 webinar. I feel like we could sit here and talk for 3 hours. That would be a little bit boring, but we have that much information. So this is such a fun process, and yeah, great time.
Love all the information that we've shared with you guys. Hopefully you've taken away some, you have some key takeaways from tonight and are able to utilize those points and help navigate through the application process, through the college research process, and that career exploration piece as well. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night. We look forward to seeing you in our next presentation. Don't forget, you can register online for that. Thank you so much for attending. We ran out of time. We didn't get through all of the questions, but you guys asked amazing questions. So we'll try to get to those in the next presentation. See you soon. Bye-bye.